Take two. Indeed, Jesus was pushed to the outside of Jerusalem onto the hill at Golgotha. He was marginalized as he was so mistreated, not only by the Roman soldiers and the scribes and the Pharisees and the religious leaders, but even his own friends marginalized him, ran away from him, scurried and hid. And even on the cross he was forced to be alone, where he cries out even to his own Father, my God, why have you forsaken me?" You and I put limits to our love. But it was on the cross where God shows his limitless love. Because the cross is the place where God joins us together. And whatever God joins together, let not man separate. As that cross is the place where God joins us together with him to draw us back into that relationship with him. Not only does he draw us in relationship, but he restores us. Not only restores the relationship, but restores each one of us personally, so that we might live properly, so that we might live out of a faith that he has given to us. Because it's in this place, at the foot of the cross, where God brings us together. And it's also just like in that scene with the little children coming to Jesus, where the disciples wanted them to leave. It's at the foot of the cross is the place where God refuses to send us away. And as Jesus touched those little children with his hands and brought healing into their lives and brought them into relationship with him, the cross is the place where God fosters his kingdom among us. And it's where his will is done. And truly his kingdom comes among us. And it's at the foot of the cross where we need to bring our relationships. Especially that relationship that God holds as the ideal. Because it's his ideal of the relationship that he has with us. That ideal relationship of marriage. And God's intention for marriage is revealed in the beginning. It's revealed at creation. He created them male and female. He created them male and female so that there can be an attraction toward one another. And so that they could live and be fruitful and multiply. But also that they are a helpmeet. That they join together in doing that which God created them to do and to be. But he also created them male and female so that they might have an accountability for one another. And finally, that as we are created male and female, there's a unity with one another. A unity like no other. I recently saw a story. It was about George and Henry. They were sitting on their porch one day, and they were rocking back and forth. And George mentioned to Henry, "Henry, you've almost been married for 50 years. And you and your wife seem to have this wonderful relationship. There seems to be such great joy between you two. What is the secret to such a long marriage?" Henry thought for a moment, and he said, "George, it's that I remember every day 3 little words. And on most days I want to say that I say these 3 little words to my wife." And he just let it hang there. So George got curious. "Henry, aren't you going to let me know? Aren't you going to let me know the secret to your marriage success?" And Henry just smiled. He said, "Yes, every day I tell my wife 3 little words. I was wrong." Indeed, in our relationships of marriage, but also in our relationships with our friends, with other family members, with the members of the congregation, with our community, we have to go to the cross. Sometimes we have to go to the cross and say, I was wrong, and ask for forgiveness. But it's also sometimes where we have to go to the cross to sacrifice ourself, our wants, our desires, our hopes. We have to sacrifice self for the sake of another one who might be hurting, who might be more vulnerable, so that they might be drawn near into their relationship with our Heavenly Father. And as we find ourselves going to the cross, and as we find ourselves at the foot of the cross, we can look up and be reminded what Jesus Christ has done for us. And it's there where he says, suffer the little children to come unto me. And it's there where you and I enter kingdom life. Now, let us go. Let us be willing to take Jesus Christ, his words of forgiveness, the touch of his hands, the strength of his words, and be able to go out and draw others to him. Now that's take two.